In the quiet hours before dawn, when the world is still half asleep, a young woman named Leora stands at the window of her small home. She watches the sky flicker with strange ethereal colors. It's a breathtaking sight, a painter's dream of purples, greens, and golds dancing across the horizon. But beneath its beauty lies something deeply unsettling. The world she once knew, the world of predictable seasons and gentle rains, is changing faster than anyone can comprehend. Every day, a growing worry settles in her chest, a heavy knot that tightens with each new report. Storms, once a distant threat, now come without warning, their fury unleashed upon unsuspecting towns. Rivers, once the lifeblood of the land, rise like angry beasts, swallowing fields and homes in their path. And under red, merciless skies, ancient forests burn, turning to ash in moments. The very earth seems to be crying out in pain, its familiar rhythms replaced by chaos and destruction. But these natural disasters, as terrifying as they are not the only dangers. A different kind of storm is brewing, one that rages not in the skies, but in the hearts of people. Across distant lands, fear has become the new currency. Nations that once spoke of unity now build walls, both physical and metaphorical. Trust, that delicate thread that binds societies together, is fading like smoke on the wind. A cold, creeping shadow spreads across the globe, the shadow of conflict, of misunderstanding, and of the profound weaknesses that lie within humanity. Old alliances crumble, and suspicion plants its roots where friendship once bloomed. Leora had always dreamed of traveling the world. She imagined herself walking through bustling foreign cities, learning different languages, and experiencing cultures rich with history. She longed to see the great mountains, the vast oceans, the wonders she had only read about in books. But now, her dreams have changed. The desire to see the world has been replaced by a desperate, aching need to save it. She looks out at the strange, beautiful, and terrifying sky, and her heart is filled, not with wanderlust, but with a sense of urgent responsibility. How can you explore a world that is falling apart at the seams? One evening, as the dust-colored twilight settles over her village, she meets an old man named Sarith. He is a wanderer, a man whose face is a roadmap of a long and difficult life. His clothes are worn, but his posture is straight. His eyes, though holding decades of sorrow, also contain a spark of something incredibly rare in these times: hope. He sits on a low stone wall, watching the wind stir the dry leaves, seemingly at peace amidst the growing anxiety that grips everyone else. Leora, drawn by his quiet strength, approaches him. "Why?" she asks, her voice barely a whisper, yet filled with the weight of her worries. "Why does the world feel so dangerous now? It feels like we are standing on the edge of a cliff, and the ground is crumbling beneath our feet." Sarith doesn't look at her immediately. He closes his eyes, as if listening to a conversation only he can hear on the wind howling through the empty streets. When he finally speaks, his voice is a low, raspy whisper. "Danger has always existed," he says. "The world has never been a truly safe place. There have always been floods, fires, and conflicts. But today is different. Today people have forgotten how to stand together. They have forgotten that their greatest strength is not in their walls or their weapons, but in each other. Fear grows when hearts grow apart." His words strike Leora like a bolt of lightning. She has been so focused on the external threats, the storms, the fires, the rising tides. But Sarith points to a deeper wound, an internal one. The real catastrophe isn't just the changing climate. It's the changing hearts of humanity. He stands and beckons for her to walk with him. They move through the ruined fields of what was once a thriving neighboring village. The evidence of disaster is everywhere. They see broken homes, their contents strewn about like discarded toys. They pass a silent playground, a single swing creaking mournfully in the wind, a ghost of the laughter that once filled the air. They walk on abandoned roads, cracked and overgrown with weeds, paths that once connected families and friends. Leora feels a profound ache in her soul. She can almost hear the echoes of the lives that were lived here, the celebrations, the arguments, the quiet moments of peace. And she feels the crushing fear of those who had to flee, the terror of not knowing what tomorrow will bring. As if summoned by their somber thoughts, the sky darkens with alarming speed. A sudden storm erupts, fierce, dark, and seemingly unstoppable. It is not a normal storm. The wind shrieks like a banshee, and the rain falls in thick, punishing sheets, lightning, jagged and white-hot, tears across the sky, illuminating the devastation around them in stark, terrifying flashes. The few remaining trees bend as if they are bowing to a violent, angry king. This way, Sareth shouts over the roar of the wind, pulling her towards a dilapidated structure on a small hill. They run, breathless, their clothes soaked in seconds. They find shelter inside an old, forgotten temple. The stone walls offer some protection, but the thunder is so powerful that it shakes the very foundations of the building. Dust and small pebbles rain down from the ceiling. Leora trembles, hugging herself for warmth and comfort. The sheer power of the storm is overwhelming. It feels like the end of everything. What if this is it? She whispers, her voice shaking. What if the world truly ends like this? In fire and flood, with no one left to remember it was ever beautiful. Sareth places a gentle, steadying hand on her shoulder. His touch is warm and reassuring, against the cold fear that has gripped her. It will not end, he says softly, his voice a calm anchor in the raging tempest. But it will change. It is changing. The world cries, because it needs healing. The storms, the fires, they are the symptoms of a deep sickness. And healing, Leora, always starts with the people who still care. It starts with those who are willing to listen to the pain and do something about it. Leora looks up at him, her wide eyes reflecting the flickering light from the cracks in the temple walls. Her fear is still there, a cold pit in her stomach. But alongside it, something else is growing. It's a tiny flame, small but warm, fanned by Sareth's words. It is courage. In that moment, surrounded by the fury of the storm and the ghosts of the past, she makes a decision. She will not be a passive observer of the world's end. She will be an active participant in its healing. When the storm finally passes, leaving a strange, clean scent in the air, they emerge from the temple. The world looks washed new, but the scars remain. Leora's path is now clear. She returns to her own village, not with despair, but with a quiet, fierce determination. She starts small. She gathers her neighbors and begins to rebuild. They clear the debris, repair the homes, and replant the community gardens that were washed away. But she doesn't stop there. She begins to teach others what she has learned, not just about sustainable farming or protecting the local streams, but about something far more important, mending the ties between people. She organizes gatherings where villagers can share their fears and their hopes. She starts initiatives to help neighboring communities, breaking down the walls of suspicion that fear had built. She reminds them that they are stronger together, that their shared humanity is more powerful than any disaster. She knows she is only one person. She knows her actions are just a tiny drop in a vast, turbulent ocean. But she believes, with all her heart, that her small efforts can spark a chain of change. That one act of kindness can ripple outward, inspiring another, and then another. And so, in a world teetering on the brink, a world filled with danger, sorrow, and profound uncertainty, Leora begins to plant seeds. She plants real seeds in the soil, coaxing life back from the wounded earth. And she plants seeds of hope in the hearts of those around her, nurturing the fragile belief that a better future is possible. Because in the darkest of times, she has learned one fundamental truth. The world survives not because it is safe, not because it is free from danger or hardship. The world survives because there are people brave enough to save it. People like Leora, who, when faced with the end, choose to begin again.